Say, what do you know, stupids? I'm back. I was in the motherland. I was in Ohio for a great Greek wedding. Congrats, Joe and Ashley. Many, many years. It was great seeing everybody. Shout out Uncle Dean. He subscribed while we were in the hotel room chilling. He watched the first episode. It might have been episode 11, but he's still subscribed. It was great seeing everybody. I am back, ready to post. I know I'm a day late, but when you travel, it is a awful thing to do when you want to get home and do anything but sleep. So I slept. I'm ready to go. All right, what a weekend for college football. Big weekend, big games, a lot of stuff answered. USC fired their defensive coordinator, I think like 5 weeks too late. They're giving up 60 some odd points the entirety of their season, and they fire them now after they already have 3 losses. Who's the best one-loss team? I think it's Bama. I think Bama, one loss at Texas. They've dominated everyone else. They've got pretty easy schedule to finish the year with 1 loss and face Georgia. Oregon's 8-1. They lost to Washington. I think Oregon's got a great offense. Ole Miss, only loss was to Bama. 8-1 Texas, lost to Oklahoma. Penn State, 1 loss against Ohio State. And Louisville, a pit loss. So Louisville and Penn, I think they're just there. They're on the cusp, but they're not really in discussion. Texas, you could throw them in. But I'll take Ole Miss over Texas. So let me know what you think in the comments, who the best one-loss team is. We'll kind of go into it that way. Ohio State started off sluggish, but came alive in the second half and ended up getting a good win against Rutgers. So that was good. 28-7 in the second half, outscored Rutgers. Needed more offense on the passing. Marvin Harrison wasn't really used. But, that's going to happen. He still had 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns. So, I'll take the touchdowns, but, we still need to get him involved. Henderson had over 100, so the running game is there. I like to see that. So I like to see where Ohio State is. Late interception by Bama helps hold off Mizzou 30-21, so that was a game to see what Mizzou could do against Penn State, maybe get them exposed, and even beat them, give themselves a chance in that race. But it's starting to look out like it's going to be Bama and Georgia. Bama wins out they're in, Georgia wins out they're in. Georgia's last test was Mizzou, so it looks like it's going to be Bama, Georgia. Mizzou's offense didn't just get enough done. They needed a little more from them. They had 2 interceptions from their quarterback. Bama keeps rolling, would not want to face that team. If they get in as the 4 seed, they're tough. They're a one-loss team, and they're going to play Georgia, and they're going to give Georgia tough. The SEC championship game, all bets are out the window. Bama knows that situation, knows them well. They want to give Bama. Bama wants to give Georgia a run for the money. That'd probably be my favorite game to watch, honestly. That 3:30 SEC championship game. It's not official, but it looks like it's going to go that way. Both those teams have a win in their end mantra. So Michigan dominates Purdue 41-13. Look for some repercussions for their whole sign-stealing thing. I won't get into that. Not really much to talk about, but once maybe they get some stuff from the Big Ten, maybe we can go into it. Florida State holds on against Pitt 24-7. Pitt's played teams tough in the ACC. FSU went on the road and got a good win. Washington beats USC at the Coliseum 52-42. Dylan Johnson ran all over USC. He could have done it alone with 256 yards. He averaged 9.8 a carry. He's almost getting a first down every time he touches the ball. That's the type of USC's garbage defense. You're allowing a guy 10 yards a run? That is insanity. Insanity. There's going to be a lot of cheek sponge trash. USC, cheek sponge trash defense. Good Lord. I could stop somebody before they get 9 yards or carry. The Pac-12 has no defense. Whatever team plays, whatever team from the Pac-12, defense doesn't even show up. Keep the defense out of the game, out of the arena. Don't bring them in. They're averaging 450, 460, 100, 460 yards a game. The points are through the roof. Anyone in the Pac-12, yeah, they could score against Pac-12 teams, but if they go into the college football playoff and play a non-Pac-12 team and that defense doesn't allow them to go 42 points, no one in the Pac-12 is going to do anything. So, Oregon, Washington, yeah, you guys get in, but you play a team from the SEC or the Big Ten, potentially Ohio State and or Michigan, they're not going to give up 42 points to y'all. So, I don't know what to do. Caleb Williams, man, that dude is struggling. He played well. I don't know if you saw the video of him embracing his mother. The dude's going through it. He's giving it all for USC, and his defense just bails on him every single week. I recommend that man rest up. He's not going to play in whatever bowl game they get, whatever Cheez-It, Mayor City bowl game they get. They're not getting New Year's 6. They're going to lose more games. he just needs to rest and just do on his thing and allow it. I think USC is probably one of the most disappointing teams this year. We were talking top 4, and now we're talking borderline unranked / 4 to 5 losses. So I say let him do his thing and head to the NFL, my boy. Oregon dominates Cal 63-19. Texas survives Kansas City survives against KSU and wins 33-30. 25-yard missed field goal by KSU was costly. KSU just had Simone shoot themselves in the foot moments, so Texas hung on. Texas hasn't played a complete game, so Texas needs to figure some things out because they didn't play a full game against Kansas State. They were up 17-0, and they put on the brakes. So they need to figure that out and get through a complete game because they played the last couple games in the Big 12, and one of those teams is going to want to beat them to knock them out of the competition. We'll get into that a little bit later. But teams are going to want the best of Texas, and if Texas doesn't play full games, they're going to eliminate themselves out of the Big 12 championship game. Bama beat LSU 42-28. As I said, they're rolling. Outscored 21-7 in the second half. Milroe looked comfortable. He had 219 yards in the air, no touchdowns, but he had 154 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. The man's a menace. If his running ability plus he does a little bit in the air, this team's unstoppable. And look out Georgia, look out College Football Committee because Bama is, I think Nick Saban's got them right where he wanted them. We were even talking about no Nick Saban and is Bama done type thing, and I think they're right back into it. Oklahoma State pretty much ends Oklahoma's chances for the Big 12 with everything lined up and the teams who have beaten what teams. Oklahoma is going to need a miracle. The teams ahead of them, they've either lost to or won't play. So that Oklahoma State win, saw the victory. Those guys threw in the goalpost in the water. That's why you love college football. A win like that, OSU over Oklahoma, and you just celebrate. Enjoy that win. That's a heck of a win. Oklahoma, like I said, you're going to need some help. Gabriel had an interception and a fumble. 0-2 on 4th down. Gordon the second had 33 carries, 137 yards for 2 touchdowns. He pretty much put Oklahoma State's Cowboys offense on his back, so well done for him. Did really, really well. Ole Miss hangs on and beats Texas A&M. Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher, what are you doing? Another mid-year. You're probably going to be 500. You might get a bowl game. You might come down to the SEC Outback Bowl game. I don't know. A lot of questions for Jimbo Fisher. You're going to pay him that 9.5. You got some stuff to do. Ole Miss, looking good. Ole Miss, you're hanging in there. They need a prayer as well. They lost to Bama. They play Georgia this week, but Bama's going to need to lose a few more. There's going to be some, because they have a tiebreaker, so they're going to need some help for someone to beat Bama. They're looking for they're cheering for Auburn, Chattanooga, and Kentucky because those are Alabama's last 3 games, and Alabama should win those wholeheartedly. But Ole Miss has a chance, but they need a lot from Alabama to lose. Texas A&M is game-tying field goal. That's kind of just a summary of Texas A&M season. It was an offensive shootout. Neither team did well on 3rd down, combined 9 for 22, so that's just mid-SEC play. But Ole Miss, man, they are in it. They are a one-loss team. They need a lot to happen for them to get to the SEC championship game, but they're playing for New Year's Six Bowl. So Lane Kiffin, the games you played tough against Bama, but New Year's Six Bowl is nothing to shake a hat at. Ole Miss heads to Athens next week to take on Georgia. Great this weekend, so great game. Penn State dominated Maryland 51-15. Louisville dominated Virginia Tech 34-3. Clemson hands Notre Dame his 3rd loss, beats Notre Dame 31-23. Hartman struggled, 2 interceptions, still has no wins against Clemson. The Notre Dame probably see what was going to happen, kind of blew up in their faces. I don't think they ever got over that Ohio State loss. That was a gut-wrenching loss. They win that game. Who knows what we're talking about. Oregon State sends Colorado with another loss, 26-19. Hunters and Sanders played well. 8 receptions, 98 yards, and a touchdown, and Sanders had 245 and 2 touchdowns. Now, I don't want to say I told you so, but preseason I told you Colorado was going to struggle. They are 1-5 in the Pac-12. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Insert a cough. Colorado is 1-5 in conference play. They started off the year and they won teams outside of their conference. Whoop-de-doo. They got a few good wins. They got on game day. This is what the Colorado I predicted was going to happen. They were going to be horrible in the Pac-12 and not win conference games. So just letting y'all know. I know in the season they looked like I was wrong, but overall in the conference record, 1 win in the Pac-12. So write it down. As I say, hammer it. Tennessee beats UConn 59-3. Utah beats Arizona State 55-3. Nothing crazy there. Oregon dominates Cal. I already said that. So if you are Oregon fans, you got it back. Arizona, another upset win, 27-10 against UCLA. Arizona's played spoiler all year. They've beaten teams that have those losses are asterisks on their schedule, meaning that game goes another direction, they're right back into it. So Arizona has kind of helped separate the herd with the Pac-12, keeping kids at bay. There's 6 wins. They're 4-2 in the Pac-12. Their preseason wins were like 2 games. They have double that in the conference play. So Arizona, play spoiler, man. Make it tough for these Pac-12 teams. Play spoiler. No one has a defense, so Arizona, do your thing. Kansas survives against Iowa State, 28-21. Another Big 12 matchup. Tulane beats number 1-8 ECU, 13-10. And Army knocked off Air Force. Man, I was really going for Air Force. They were undefeated. They were ranked. They probably won't be ranked, but we'll have to see. So now the big heart of this episode is we're going to really get into the standings. So the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan. Penn State could beat Michigan this week, this coming Saturday, make it a little more interesting. But it looks like it's going to come down to the last game of the year. On the other side, Iowa's up a game right now, so Iowa wins out therein. Kind of gets tricky with that, but that's kind of the Big Ten. Nothing real crazy. The ACC, it's starting to look like FSU and Louisville. Louisville wins out, and FSU wins out. They're both in. Louisville, I like that team. They win out. I would keep that game very competitive. I would not just write off Louisville if they played FSU. I would give them a decent shot. So if Louisville wins out, they're in. That's what Louisville has to do, though. Louisville can't trip up because Georgia Tech's right on them with 4-2 in conference play. So you can't trip up. Win them out and get in there. FSU is 7-0 and 9-0, but they still have Miami and UF rivalry games. So both those teams, Miami's not playing for much, UF's not playing for much, but they're playing for respect. They know it's a rivalry game, especially at the end of the year with UF. So FSU doesn't have that much, doesn't have an easy road per se. Those rivalry games are no joke. Pac-12 is looking like it's going to be Washington, Oregon again, unless something crazy happens. USC is the third best team in that conference, 5-2, 7-3. And USC still has Oregon and they have Oregon and they have someone else. I'm losing my train of thought. Washington's 6-0 and 9-0, and Oregon's 5-1 and 8-1. Oregon has USC and Oregon State at home. So they have the two toughest. 2 out of their 3 remaining games are tough. They have both of them at home, and they go to Arizona State. But Arizona State has been playing well at home. So if Oregon has a game to slip up, it's that one. They come off those high-energy games, and then they go to Arizona State. That's the game that they slip on, banana peel-esque, and that's what happens with their season. So USC still has – I didn't write here whose USC schedule has, but I'm pretty sure they still have they've already played Oregon and Washington. So, no, I take that back. Oregon plays USC this Saturday at the Coliseum. So Oregon has USC. So Oregon beats USC. USC's pretty much done, and Oregon will play their way in. So if USC wants to make it a little harder on Oregon, they can win that game. But it's on the road for Oregon. Wow. This is what happens when you're not on there for a couple days. USC plays Oregon at Eugene. USC doesn't have a chance. Oregon plays at home. It's unreal. Oregon is going to dominate USC at home and make it one step closer to playing in the Pac-12 championship against Washington. Oregon State and Arizona State should give them a rivalry-esque, but I think they should be able to handle those 3 games. So Pac-12 and SEC are kind of set. Some things could shift. Some games could go different ways, so just something to look at. Big 12, everyone is still alive. The Big 12 is the biggest one to look out for. Texas, OSU are both 5-1 in conference play. Kansas is 4-2 and 7-2. Oklahoma is 4-2, 7-2, and KSU is 4-2 and 6-3. Those 3 teams I just named, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas State, need help. Kansas State can play spoiler. They play at Kansas, so they could ruin it for Kansas because Kansas is still technically around because they have only 1 game. And Kansas beats Kansas has Texas Tech, KSU, and at Cincy. Texas has TCU and Iowa State. both trap games, both tough games on the road. Texas can't afford to lose another game. Oklahoma State's got UCF, Houston, and BYU, easiest schedule to win out. So they went out, they're in, and I think they will. All three of those teams are all new ones to the Big 12, and I think they're going to get destroyed. The toughest one would probably be at Houston. UCF could be tough, but UCF has been horrible all year. So OSU has the easiest winning in. Same thing with Texas, but Texas has some trap games, and they haven't played full four-quarter games, so that wouldn't be surprised if Texas slipped up. And Kansas needs teams ahead of them to lose. So you're really looking at, with Oklahoma losing Oklahoma State, you're really looking at Texas and OSU and Kansas in that kind of mix, and Kansas will be the more OSU wins and Texas wins, it'll just those two teams win out and they're in. Kansas has a shot, but they need a lot. SEC, pretty much Georgia head in the East with that win against Mizzou. Georgia pretty much in the East. They got it cemented. And Alabama. Alabama wins out, and they're playing Chattanooga, Kentucky, and someone else. So it's pretty much Georgia, Alabama. So after a week, we pretty much, again, none of this is guaranteed. This is all still in Ashras. It's not been official, so don't start buying tickets or T-shirts. But we've got a couple conferences laid out differently, so we'll kind of see how that goes. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I've had a few extra subscribers, a few more view times. I appreciate everything. I'm back. I had a great vacation with the family. We're ready to get back into this. So I will go over the rankings. They come out tomorrow. I'll go over the rankings on Bubcast episode 13 on Wednesday night. I'll go over that real quick, throw it into the NFL episode. Don't expect much to change. Don't expect much to change with the rankings. Oklahoma's going to drop out of the top 10. I don't think much of the top 10 is going to change. Will Bama jump with their good win? I don't think anything should change. I know Ohio State barely won, but I think everyone should be in place. It'd be kind of weird to just start bumping people. When you have a 1 and you beat Rutgers by 17 points and you're not 1 anymore. So we'll kind of see what happens. Bama had a good couple wins against top 25, so we'll see where they kind of gump into things. But yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We will get back into the rankings on Wednesday. Follow us on social media, Twitter at the Bubcast _, Instagram Bubcast official, TikTok at the Bubcast. I love filming on that, so let me know what you think. Episode 13. Check out the whiteboard. My standings are down here. I haven't updated them yet. Didn't do any predictions last week. Actually, no, I went on Twitter and made predictions. I'll have to double check those predictions. So I did submit some scores for week 10. Didn't do them all, but I did enough, so we're going to get my record there. What do you say? What do you know? Have a great week, and we will see everyone Wednesday night.